Well, Scott Griffin is Deputy Director of the International Press Institute in Vienna and joins us now. Scott, what's your reaction to this verdict?
Thanks for having us. No, this is an absolutely outrageous attack on press freedom. And it's, in our view, a clear attempt by politicians basically to punish journalists who are doing their job of looking into the activities of powerful people. And Pelin Unker obviously made some powerful people very angry with her reports. She's not only sentenced in this case yesterday, but she faces another civil case by the former prime minister and her sons. She's facing having to pay up to 80,000 euros in damages for defamation. And she's also the defendant in another civil case filed by President Erdogan's son-in-law, also the Minister of Economy in Turkey, on a defamation case as well. And there's another hearing in that case scheduled for next month.
So Pelin Unker is going to be in the courts for quite some time, it seems. Now, she's just one of many journalists being prosecuted in Turkey. How difficult is it for journalists to do their work in that country?
It's extremely difficult. There are around 157 journalists right now behind bars in Turkey, and scores of others who are facing charges but are not currently on trial. And we've also seen, we've been monitoring the trials of journalists actually in person over the past few months. We've attended about 50 trials together with our partners. We see that journalists are being held for up to a year or even more in pretrial detention without charges. When the charges are filed, there's no evidence to support them. In some cases, journalists are being even prevented from attending their own trials and defending themselves in person. It's an extremely difficult situation, and Pelin Unker's case, unfortunately, fits into this pattern, basically, of trying to stifle any kind of critical reporting about the Turkish government.
Given the current political situation in Turkey, Scott, what can be done there to improve the situation for press freedom?
I think this case actually offers an interesting opportunity to raise awareness because in many of the other cases involving journalists, they're being charged with terrorism-related offenses, and the Turkish government is sort of using terrorism as a shield, trying to sell to the rest of the world a sort of, it's easy to explain to people or try to sell to people that terrorism and the journalists are somehow involved in that. And in this case is really about a journalist who wrote about the financial activities of those in power, and there's no justification for bringing these charges at all. And I think we can see clearly that all of these cases against journalists are a question of the government trying to crack down on any speech that it doesn't like. And it's essential in these moments to raise awareness internationally about these cases, to explain that all of these cases involve journalists who were just doing their jobs. It's essential to have this kind of international solidarity. And that's what we really should be doing over the next few days about this and other cases. And this is a high-profile case because of what she was involved in. But as I said, there are dozens, more than 150 journalists who are behind bars, who are not as well known, who are also doing valuable work. And we also need to be there for them, standing up for them and calling for their release.
Scott, thank you very much for talking with us today. That was Scott Griffin, the International Press Institute in Vienna.